Had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C. and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. I'm your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty, etc., etc., etc. And finally, we have a full crew here, live from Woods and Shore Studios over in Aiken. Paul, the Shield Vold. Good to see you, Shield.
Good to see you too, Callahan. It's been a long time coming. It feels like it's been a month.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not going to lie. It feels like it's been a month. But we got to give credit where credit.
Absolutely.
And then a week ago for me, I mean, the thing is, work comes first. Yeah, and that's just what we have going. But we are here, full crew here. Oh, yeah. And also, we got an awesome show coming up for you. We got a new segment. But first, we got to get something straight out of the oven. And I think it's called Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
I mean, here's the thing. These takes are going to be real, like they're smoking hot. But the thing is that they're not burnt, okay? Because we make them just fantastic, nice and crispy. We're ready to go. And the first thing we're talking about today, Voldy, our first Tater Tot Hot Take, is the Minnesota State High School Hockey Tournament, the tourney, baby. So over last week, over the weekend here, the tourney 20 that they're calling it now, and in single A, the Montemedi Zephyrs get the win and their first state title for single A. They beat the the evil Hermantown Hawks. We'll get to that in a second. But it was a great game. And then we're going to get to the double A. Congratulations to the Hill Murray Pioneers on their win, beating the Empire as Eden Prairie. And we'll get to that as well. But first, let's talk about single A. Montemedi, their first state title. I know a person named Easy A. He went to Montemedi, and I assume he's pretty happy. But I mean, yeah, there's Easy A. Goes F's, my hometown. Yeah, there you go. The crew's back. Thanks, Dan. We are back, ready to go. All right, hey, we're happy to make your Wednesday nights there, Dan. But anyway, thank you to the Zoners. We're back. Okay, so they got the game-winning goal in overtime, Voldy, and they finally get their first state title. The thing is, it's kind of bittersweet for me because Montemedi is kind of our sworn rival for St. Thomas Academy. For people that don't know, I went to St. Thomas Academy, and Hermantown is like for hockey, like way above. I mean, can't stand them. But Voldy, I got to ask you this: did you watch a lot of the hockey tournament? Did you watch the games there?
You know, I caught some when I could. Unfortunately, myself, I was bouncing back and forth with postseason basketball for the radio station here in Aiken. and made a couple trips up to Duluth, a couple last-minute trips. So, I mean, I tried to catch as much as I could. I did catch a little bit of the Hill Murray game as well from the championship game last Saturday. We're on the road, unfortunately, for the other game, for the single A game. But from what I saw highlights of, and saw some other things, it looked like it was one heck of a contest.
Yeah, it really was. I watched the end of it, and I didn't care who won either way, but nothing brings me more pleasure than to seeing those Hermantown Hawks go down. For those that went to St. Thomas Academy, I know a lot of STA guys tuned into the show, a lot of STA zoners. And the thing is that the reason why, for people that don't know, Hermantown's almost our sworn enemy, is that the thing is that it's really not a rivalry because we've beaten them so many times when we were in single A. But hey, that's just me. But anyway, going back to the tourney is so much fun. I mean, you see many people, go to the state tournament, and it's a sight to behold. It really is. And, for those that go to it, and then for those that watch it on TV, I mean, the broadcasts are phenomenal. Student sections always get into it. It's a great atmosphere. I mean, it's the state of hockey, for goodness sake. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's kind of how it is. But I'm going to talk about a memory I had, and I posted this on Facebook, Voldy. For those who don't know, my senior year, I went to St. Thomas Academy, as people know. I was a senior, and we were playing Hermantown, of all teams, right? And their mascot decided to come down to our student section. And as people know, that is a terrible mistake, because anytime you see our Class A's coming into the Xcel Energy Arena, it's all business, okay? And so when the mascot refused to leave, one of my classmates, a senior, went up and said, leave. I can't, I'm paraphrasing, but they wouldn't leave. So what do? We take the mascot head, we throw it into our student section, and we bat it around like a beach ball, baby. And it was the greatest thing. I mean, that was one of my favorite moments that was one of my favorite moments as a senior. I mean, it's amazing. It was amazing. It was a fun time. But the thing is that they got mad that we did that. But it's like, you guys, hey, you made the mistake in sending the mascot over there. So, and I believe, Voldy, you remember this because you were watching the game, right?
Yeah, I definitely remember watching that game. I mean, I always enjoyed watching the state high school hockey tournament, when I couldn't attend. But I remember watching that. I remember seeing that as well on TV. That's one of the moments that I remember seldomly from the tournaments as well, was the all the cadets throwing the hawk head around, and I remember the announcers making mention of that as well. Pretty funny.
I mean, and the thing is that, I think they called, St. Thomas Academy, and they're like, oh, you're going to discipline your guys. You can't discipline all of us. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, definitely.
But, they made the mistake of coming over there. I mean, if you know the state high school hockey tournament, don't mess with that student section. I'm telling you right now. Now. So, I mean, it's a fun tradition and everything like that. So, anyway, congratulations to Minnezona Zephyrs for their state championship. But Double A, Hill Murray, takes down the juggernaut in Eden Prairie. That's a big one. And Hill Murray hasn't won since 2008, I believe. They've always been a good team, and SDA's played them many times. And this year they're definitely. They won 4-1 against Eden Prairie, who's always in it. They have a bunch of guys that are on the team. Voldy, what were your takeaways from the Class AA?
Yeah,
State.
I just thought it was a really balanced game overall, and I just thought maybe the fact that of course we're talking the Class A game, the Hill Murray matchup against St. Thomas, right?
Oh no, I'm sorry. We're talking the AA like this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. No, I mean that tournament, you got what you got out of that one. You saw the likes of Amada Midai come right through. Just the bracket. It doesn't matter which team is the top seed in that tournament. If you got a hot team and a good goaltender coming through, then that is going to be a huge difference in that tournament. We've seen teams come through either are going to win games by 7-8 goals, or you're going to win gutty 1-0 victories in the tournament with the fact that it's either about the hot scoring or it's going to be about the hot goaltending.
Yeah, and I mean the double A is like it's always packed, and the thing is they open the second deck, because the XL is huge, and so they have a lot of people showing up for double A and whatnot, and Hill Murray, I mean they're top class, and and STA is kind of their rival too, and they've had many run-ins with each other. But Hill Murray ended St. Thomas Academy season this year, but St. Thomas Academy wasn't expected to do much this year, and not like there were people predicting that they wouldn't make the tournament. So I want to throw a shout out, not a Shield shout out. I just want to throw a shout out to my high school, St. Thomas Academy, for getting to the semifinals. When people thought that they had no chance, and they were 19-8, and I think 7, I believe, but I mean they lost an OT to the state champs, and I think you got to give them some credit for that. They were coached under Tom and Greg Vanelli. They're wonderful coaches. They retired from those positions, and now look at them now. They're back in the tournament, and they're a young team. We'll see what happens with them. So, it's always fun talking about the state high school hockey tournament. So anyway, moving on, we got to talk a little something. Vikings offseason shopping, Voldy. We haven't talked about the Vikings in a while. We've been talking a lot about the Wild. They're still trying to get into the playoffs here, but we got to talk about our Minnesota Vikings. Okay, so. Here's what I'm telling you, Voldy. I was looking at some links here as I was prepping for the show, and I gotta say, what do you think? And I'm gonna ask you here, what do you think the team's biggest need is in the offseason here? Obviously, they don't have a ton of cap space, but if they make room. What do you think? What do you think is the biggest need? I'm pretty sure you're going to say O-line, right?
Yeah. Obviously, every offseason, it's always about the offensive line. Even in the good years when, the running game was strong and, the line was mostly healthy, the biggest concern is always going to be the offensive line for the Vikings. That's just their mantra. It has been for a long time, past the years of, Anthony Herrera and Phil Lodeholt and Steve Hutchinson, the main guys in the middle. But now it's just – which guys can we keep healthy long enough to play 4 or 5 games in a row? I would say that's definitely the biggest concern right off the bat. And, of course, you can always use some help. And the patented need for, Coach Zimmer is the defensive back position.
Yeah, and that's another need, too. And, I people talk about the offensive line. And as the Kerf doctor likes to say, when the draft comes up, first round pick, O-line, second round pick, O-line, third round pick, O-line. The list goes on. But they're going to do that. They're going to address the need. Spielman and Zimmer know what has to happen here. Okay, and this is kind of the one thing that the Vikings need to address with not only O-line but the secondary. You still got Harrison Smith. Are you going to re-sign Anthony Harris? That's always up for. I hope, but they got to come to an agreement with him. He's not going to be. You're not going to get him for cheap, okay? Because he's going to want some money, big money here. But you got to look at some young corners. Xavier Rhodes. What do you do with him? That's kind of another thing that you got to look at too, because after what I saw this past season, I'm concerned. 100% concerned about it, because it's one of those things where you just kind of like, well, we signed him to this deal and now we're kind of stuck in it. Because if there's a team that's interested and you can get a good deal out of it, yeah, but at the same time, do you want to take that risk, or do you want to tell Zim or have Zim work with him, stuff like that? But if he's not complying, then what do? You let go of him, and then you have the Stephon Diggs drama. But I don't think you have the big need at wide receiver. But the Diggs drama, people need to, we talked about that the other week. But, I mean, the biggest offseason need is 100% O-line. And they got to look at guys that are bigger and that can, move those tough defensive linemen in the NFC North, too. Then defensive backs, I mean, that's the next thing. If I had to choose kind of a dark horse position that they might have to address, I mean, Linval Joseph. Are they going to let him go to free up some cap space? I hope not. I love Linval. Linval is like one of my favorite Vikings. So, I mean, it's got to be D tackle for me, Voldy. But it's – I mean, what do we do? That's kind of the thing. I feel like if they're going to address a need, if they let Linval go, D tackle is going to be a tough hole to fill.
Yeah, and especially with the fact that they've got the likes of Everson Griffin, who's going to be testing the free agent market, and you may have to start looking for another DN too. You let Linval Joseph go, then there goes much of the production, not only in stopping, quarterbacks, but also stopping the run game as well. I mean, sure, there's a couple of guys down on the depth chart that filled in some nice spots, but you'd like to see to build that consistency on defensive line and that cohesiveness that was so strong for the Vikings for the last couple of years. And you get Linval Joseph back, that would be nice. I don't know how much it's going to cost you, but also with Everson Griffin out there, I don't know if the writing's on the wall and both parties are just going to walk away and, thanks for the 10 years on the team and see if maybe Everson can find a new place. I mean, Vikings still have Danielle Hunter. I mean, there's a lot of question marks, but I would definitely agree with you. That's definitely one of the top 3, if not top 2 spots that's going to have to be addressed is on that defensive line.
Yeah. And Spielman knows what he's doing. I mean, there's been some hits in the draft. There's been some misses. Okay. I mean, that's with any person entering the draft. I mean, we've seen bust. We've seen guys that have gone on to have really good careers. We have seen serviceable guys. But, as we delve deep into the offseason, there's a lot of tough decisions that have to be made. But you're talking about Everson. I believe from what I've heard is that he's been in constant talks with the Vikings of him possibly coming back at a smaller price. So there's that to maybe look forward to, because I think Everson is kind of the heartbeat of that defense because, he's always doing the pump-up speeches. He's always, involved, and he's a leader on the team. So, I mean, you don't want to lose your leader, but if it comes to a point where it's like, well, the production's there, but, he's had some injuries in the past. But at the same time, I would like to see Everson Griffin back just at a reduced rate, as we kind of think about here, But I think the Vikings offseason, they're going to look to the draft, get some young guys in there, hopefully get some more weapons, because the running back's pretty much set. I mean, Cook, Madison, those guys. Unless they want to, if they're going to move on from Kirk. I mean, quarterback position's always a possibility too.
Could be.
Jalen Hurts, I don't know. I mean, you're not going to get a Burrow or a Tua. They're not going to fall that far. But, maybe they consider that. I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think that, maybe quarterback might be a point of emphasis if they want to move on from Kirky?
I think that if the Vikings are any smart, they're going to have to pull a Billy Guerin here and throw a shot across the bow here. And maybe throw out the fact, maybe we do need a new quarterback. I don't know. Let's start looking and really force the hand of Kirk Cousins. Okay, it's time to put up or shut up here in this situation. I would personally like to see, Rick Spielman come out and be like, okay, we're looking for a new quarterback. I guess that's just how it's going to be. And just watch Kirk Cousins just play angry the entire season. And who knows? Maybe they do make a move or something. I'd like to see Rick Spielman just go out there and make a statement and say, we're not messing around. We're tired of it, and we're about to make some noise.
I could see it. I honestly could see it. But yeah, and just to Tyler's comment too. Yeah, they probably may have to trade up, but Jalen Hurts' stock is rising, so they might have to do that if they wanted to get a quarterback to after Kirk Cousins' contract is up, because he has a no trade clause, by the way. So there's no way that you can get rid of that. So you'd have to wait till after the season. But
true, very true.
But anyway, the zoners can chime in too. We'll make sure that you comment in and your thoughts on what the Vikings should do, their needs, things like that. So, but anyway, Voldy, we have a new segment coming your way. If you saw the preview, just know that this is going to be a great segment. It's probably going to be one of my favorites. Check this out.
While many have power rankings, none have captured them all. It's time for Matty C's Infinity Rankings.
Let's go. It's time for some Infinity Rankings, Voldy. Now, here's what it is, okay? A lot of people have like top 5, top 3 type of things. But no, we're going to go the Marvel route, okay?
Okay.
Because there are 6. There's an Infinity Gauntlet that Thanos used to have, and the Avengers, and Avengers Endgame as well, have. And there's 6 Infinity Stones. So that means that we have to rank 6 topics, okay? Now,
Okay.
I have 6 picked out. So this for our topic, we're talking about the top Minnesota professional teams in Minnesota. Okay,
Whoa.
It's just based off. Here's the thing, Voldy. It's based off of the fandom. It's not by by rings or anything like that. I mean, it's factored in, but there's so many avenues, and I'll explain each of them. So here are my rankings. And as the Kerf Doctor brings it up, here it is, top Minnesota pro team. So at 6, we have Minnesota United FC. Now, the reason why I have them there is because they are a new team. Okay.
Yep.
They're still kind of working. They do have a really good fan base.
They do.
Have a very good
Great
fan base.
fan base.
And Allianz Field is I've never been been there, but
No.
I've seen pictures. It looks great. Absolutely phenomenal. And it's one of these things where you got to look at it and say, okay, soccer's starting to become a big thing. That's just me. And, I just kind of think that if we start at 6 with Minnesota United FC, and then, as the years go on, they could jump up the rankings.
Oh, so, most definitely they could.
So
I
think we got to go with 6 for them, just because. Now 5 is the Timberwolves. Okay. This is a tough one, Voldy, because the Timberwolves, they haven't had much success. Okay.
Yep.
They've been to the playoffs. I mean, KG's technically, in a way, been that franchise. I could have put just KG right there, to be honest with you. And then the Kerf Doctor, he's kind of agreeing with me here. But, I mean, that's the thing, is that there's not enough there for them. Okay. And a lot of guys just don't want to come to Minnesota and play.
No, they
Minnesota.
don't.
And that's kind of the thing. It's like, it's tough. It's tough. But the Wolves, they've done some good things. They've done some awful things, like drafting 3 point guards in one draft. So there's that to think about. So, I mean, I was tempted to move Minnesota United FC to 5, but just based on the fandom, there's enough fans for the Wolves. There's a lot of passionate Wolves fans, but I mean, just with their luck, there's a lot with it. So anyway, we're going to move on to number 4, the Minnesota Lynx. Now, I put them ahead of the Timberwolves because honestly, I factored, championships into this one. And they do a great job. Their organization does a great job of promoting. They do a great job. They have a great coach in Cheryl Reeve, Lindsey Whalen. They were a dynasty, for goodness sake. And they've been fantastic. And you got to look at the broad scope of it, and they've been better than the Wolves, and then obviously Minnesota United because, well, they're still new. But at the same time, the Wolves, they've been so much better than the Wolves. So much better than the Wolves. So, I mean, you got to look at the Lynx and say, okay, they've won championships. I mean,
a whole lot of championships.
I mean, titles don't lie, Voldy.
They don't.
Lie.
They don't lie.
And they have a really nice fan base as well. And
Absolutely.
I'm one of them. I'm a big fan of them. So anyway, we're going to move on to number 3, the third Infinity Stone on the gauntlet.
See, this is the most controversial, I think, here in the rankings right now. But I'm gonna let you. I want to hear your explanation. I want to hear your reasoning.
Sure. Yeah. No, we're gonna get 3 is the Twins, and that's pretty high. Okay.
Right.
They've won 2 World Series. The fan base is out of this world. It's great. But here's the issue. And I think you know what I'm going to say here, okay? It's the Pohlads, okay? It's the Pohlads. The reason why is because they are cheap. Now, when their father was running the organization, he was fantastic. The issue with the Twins is that the reason why they've been down so long is because they haven't had... They don't spend money, and that's the issue with the Twins, and that's what frustrates the hell out of everyone as a Minnesota fan. But there's a silver lining because they went out, they got Donaldson, okay? They spent some money, thank goodness. Now, they could move up. They could really move up. But the reason why they are 3 is because... it's the Poleheads. It really is. And that's how I look at it. But we're going to move on to number 2. Okay?
Okay.
Number 2 is the Minnesota Wild. Now, why do you ask that? It's the state of hockey.
Right.
It's the state of hockey. Okay? The fan base is like none other. Okay? They care about the team. Yes, they've had, their one and dones in the playoffs. Yes, but I'm basing it off of how many people love the Wild. And I feel like, and this isn't about this isn't about like how many championships you've won or anything like that. But if you want to talk to anybody, you got to probably say the Wild are just so popular around the state.
Right.
All around the state. And that's how I base it off of just knowing the fan base and everything like that. Okay. You probably saw this coming. The number one Infinity Stone is the Minnesota Vikings, okay? There is no one that can touch the Vikings. The fan base is phenomenal. I mean, everything is just the Vikings are everything in this state. Everyone talks about the Vikings. Everyone loves the Vikings. They've had so many great moments, and they've had so many moments, okay? We've had some bad luck, okay? But the state of Minnesota, I swear, you ask anybody, everyone loves the Vikings. The fan base is like none other. None other. The reason why they're number 1 is because it's about the fan base and how many people love the Vikings. And I factor that into, yes, if we're going to factor championships, they don't have any. Well, true, but I've never seen a more loyal fan base in Minnesota. And that's why they're a step ahead. The Wild, the Twins, and every other team. So those are my Infinity rankings on my gauntlet. I snapped. Now, Voldy, your thoughts. And the Zoners' thoughts, too, in the comments.
Oh, absolutely. We got to get the Zoners on this one. I have no problem with the Vikings being number 1. That's a given. Okay. I knew exactly where you were going with that. The Wild over the Twins, though, that's where I have the biggest problem then and there. I can see your reasoning. Of course, the lack of spending by the Pohlads, no pitching, all that fun stuff. But if I had to go, of course, Vikings fans are Twins fans during the summer, and then they go right into the fall with the Vikings. Sure. That loyalty is right there with it. I would put the Twins at number 2 because through thick and thin, through 100 lost seasons to Central Division titles in getting beat up by the Yankees in the postseason every year, Twins fans are always there. They're always looking forward. We're always looking towards spring training. We're always looking towards the fact that, who's the hot prospect coming through the zone and who's going to be, who's coming through for the Twins 2-3 years down the road. Obviously, you want to win right now. That's what the Twins are trying to do. but the Twins definitely need to be number 2 in my mind. Then you
Okay.
put the Wild at 3, and of course you put the Lynx at 4 because rings don't lie in the WNBA. Just imagine how much many more they can do
Yeah.
if Maya Moore was still hanging around and playing. That's coming up a little bit later. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And I would put Minnesota United FC over the Timberwolves. That's just me, though. I feel like, they're still a young team. They're a team that's been around, but now they're in the MLS. They're playing with the big boys in soccer. And over the last couple of years, they've steadily improved. They've got a great fan base. I could pump Wonderwall all day and not get sick of it because they just love that song. I haven't been to Allianz Field yet. From what I've seen from pictures that were sent to my family from this past year, when they went to a game and didn't even invite me or Sarah to it, I was first, A, not happy, and B, jealous of the fact that they went to a game at Allianz Field. Good for them, but it looks like a fantastic stadium. I've driven by it a couple times, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, it really does. And the thing is that I mean, it's so close between the Twins and the Wild, but the reason why is because it's the state of hockey.
I gotcha.
It's just kind of, it's the state of hockey. That's why it's got the edge. But the Twins, I mean, I love the Twins. I've always loved the Twins. Anyone you ask, but the issue with the Twins is it's those pole ads, man. It really is. But I have to put the Twins at 3 just because of that sole fact. Now, the Wolves and the Minnesota United FC, I mean, it was a close one because I was tempted to put them at 5. But as the years go on, that could change. Now, I've seen some people in the comments talking about how the Lynx should be 1, but that's only if you're basing it off rings. If you're basing off rings,
and championships, most definitely. There's a lot of other factors that go into it.
Right. So if you threw the Lynx up, if we're just doing championships, sure. I mean, they'd wipe the floor with all the others. Absolutely.
Oh, definitely.
Then you have to put the Twins at 2, and then if we're talking at least going to the Super, then it'd probably be Vikings 3. So, but the Vikings are the top Infinity Stone. So, I mean, that's kind of the big thing. It's kind of when Thanos got the final Infinity Stone, when he ripped it from Vision's head, and then he put it on, and, everything was going like that. And then Thor, as we all know, should have went for the head. But if you watch Avengers Endgame, you know how it all turns out. So we'll just kind of go from there. But anyway, Voldy, this was a great segment. I think we're going to keep doing this because why the heck not, as the Curve Doctor likes to say. I mean, it's so much fun. So, Zoners, let us know what you think of the rankings. Okay, let us know, and we'll try to get to you. And obviously, if you're watching it after, make sure to comment, and then we'll get back to you. I mean, Voldy and I were very active on the socials medias, as we like to say. So, give us your thoughts. We want to hear from you. So,
absolutely, hit us up.
Yeah, hit us up. Let's go. So anyway, Voldy, but we got to get to our favorite segment because we haven't done this one segment together for a while. So it's called something like ARA, right?
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
Oh, it's gonna feel so good to say this. Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Ooh, I got chills just hearing that. Ooh, okay. Well,
feel your arms.
In the last couple hours, this first story ought to be changed to sports equals canceled because that's what's going on here as of late. But the main story here in the last few days, of course, has been the fact that now joining the ranks of all 4 professional sports leagues in North America have decided to close the locker rooms to media members with the ongoing situation with coronavirus, or COVID-19 as they like to call it nowadays. Right. NHL, MLB, and also the NBA, along with MLS. They're closing the 4 leagues that are active as of right now are closing their doors for media and even restricting the fact that as of late, even today alone, franchises are not allowing players to, or I should say fans to attend games. The Seattle Mariners in Major League Baseball, they're not going to play any games in Seattle in the month of March. They're actually moving games to wherever, whenever, basically. NHL is closing off, the locker rooms, and of course, MLS is going to probably start playing in empty stadiums. They've been doing that overseas in some of the other high leagues over there, and of course, we're learning as of late that the NCAA is going to play the entire NCAA tournament in empty arenas. And of course, there's various other leagues that are canceling games, moving locations, things of that sort. The whole situation is just crazy to think that we're going to even try to play sports. But getting back to the main factor as well, approved or absurd, the fact that the media is getting shut out from the major sports franchises and the leagues as well.
I think it's great or the players are complaining too much about it, to be honest.
Well, of course.
Well, some of them. There are some. I mean, Marshawn Lynch, if NFL was going on, he'd probably love it. But it's got to give my stamp of approval. And I'll tell you why. As we get our stamp of approval. Oh, I missed that. Thank you, Kerf Doctor.
Fantastic.
I really needed that stamp of approval. It's been too long. Because we want to make sure the athletes are safe. The reporters themselves are, we want to make sure that they're safe as well. But it's, I understand there's a lot of factors into this. I feel like the media kind of is, in a way, overplaying it a little bit. It is a pandemic. We can't, I think today they, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, said it was a pandemic. But we got to make sure we got to protect the athletes and especially the fans.
Absolutely.
In those big, in the big stadiums and everything like that. The reporters, we don't want the reporters getting sick either. Like EZA said, reporters stop annoying players. That's one way to look at it. But at the same time, too, they have jobs that they have to do. But it gets my stamp of approval. They're just trying to look out for everyone here, and this virus that's been going around. I mean, you got to do what you can to, make sure that you're not subjected to it, and
right.
I mean that's kind of the big thing. But I saw a video or something where people were getting all these hand sanitizers and all these and other people fighting over things like that, and it's oh my gosh, it's just I don't know, but it gets my stamp of approval, Voldy, because we got to make sure that everyone's safe and whatnot. So I understand where they're coming from. What do you think, Voldy?
Yeah, I could see it from multiple sides. As a member of the media, it kind of stinks because the fact that your job is tough enough already that you gotta talk. Of course, you get to talk to these players. You have deadlines to meet. You have obligations you need to fill for your for your newspaper, for your website, for for the radio station, for the TV as well. And you're cut off the fact. Of course, there are extenuating circumstances. This is a situation that continues to evolve, and at the end of the day, nobody's going to come out on top of this. The players, of course, are probably enjoying the fact that they don't have to talk with the media, but then the fact that they're probably not going to be playing in front of their fans or whatever, kind of lose that ability whatsoever, just because of the fact that the coronavirus and COVID-19 is running rampant across areas of the country, to the fact that even not just professionally, but even some collegiate and even amateur sports as well, high school events are starting to get more creative with the fact of, okay, how do we still put these events on to allow some fans, but not all the fans, the fact that where people could get sick and could lead to an outbreak. At the end of the day, I mean, it's got my stamp of approval to the fact that the four leagues are taking the initiative to stand out, but the fact and to say that this is something that we all agreed upon. This is not just this is not the commissioner of each league saying this is happening. This is something that took all 30 plus teams of each league, or however many teams there are, to make the decision. We need to look out for ourselves, for our players, our franchise, and for our fans as well. And
it's not like they didn't do their research. I mean, they talked to people that are saying, like, yeah, you might want to take some action here. So, but yeah, the zoners, chime in too. I was
know.
seeing some things. I saw one. I think the Jazz versus the Hornets. Tyler Knutson chimed in saying that Rudy Gobert is sick.
Not good.
They're not good. So you got to take precautions and everything with this virus. Hopefully we can just get rid of this thing. Hopefully here.
I hope so.
But anyway, next one, Voldy.
Well, the next story here is a little bit of a history maker from this past Sunday. Of course, Sunday was International Women's Day, and the NHL decided to make themselves stand out as well. And also on the parts of the NBC Sports Network, where they had an all-female broadcasting crew led by the likes of Kate Scott, who did play-by-play for NBCSN as the St. Louis Blues defeated the Chicago Blackhawks 2-0. Also joined alongside by Olympic gold medalist for Team USA, Kendall Coyne-Schofield, and even AJ Malesko. Catherine Tappan was back in the studio covering along with Jennifer Botterill as well, who won 3 gold medals with Team Canada while she was on the Olympic team for Team Canada for the hockey team as well. Just looking at this, another step forward. Of course, the NHL has been very active in the fact of letting some of these top women's players, like in the All-Star game we talked about a few weeks ago with Kendall Coyne-Schofield taking part in the fastest skater competition. They had the women's 3-on-3 game as well between Team USA and Team Canada. Sort of approved not only the NHL but also NBC Sports Network, letting the ladies do all the work and have all the fun at the same time.
Well, here's the thing. If you think it's absurd, you have no credibility whatsoever.
I kind of set it up that way because if you say it's absurd, well, I mean,
then you're getting nominated for most absurd statement of the year 2020. I mean, you're going to be in the likes of William Glancy and Tyler Meyer. Like, even worse. I mean, they've said some things, but even worse. But anyway, obviously, stamp of approval. I mean, oh my gosh. I didn't get a chance to hear them, but I assume that they've got some pretty good skills with play-by-play and color commentary. The NBC is a great network, and they've done a phenomenal job. They got Mike Tirico, they got Al Michaels, Kerf Doctor's favorite, Chris Collinsworth. Just kidding. The Kerf Doctor's not a huge fan of Collinsworth. Now, here's a guy. No.
He's a nice guy, but here's the thing, guys. He's got skill back to laughing. I like to laugh,
I
too.
think he has skill back.
Actually, he has. No, he's made really good progress. I think Chris is a nice guy, and he's made good progress, so that's all I'm going to say.
Back to the ladies. It looks like they had a lot of fun. And reading all this, it seems like Mike Tirico was talking with one of them and saying, just have fun with it. It's going to be the time of your life. And Voldy, you've called many hockey games in your broadcasting career too. But something like this, there's a lot that are doing this. I mean, you look at Doris Burke in the NBA. She's color commentator for that.
Absolutely.
I mean, she's phenomenal, with basketball. And
Beth Bowens at ESPN.
Yeah.
I love it when she does go for games. It's always a great time with Beth Bowens doing go for games.
Oh yeah. And there's so many women now that have come in to not only sport of the NHL, but NBA, NFL for referees. I mean, it's been something that that should have happened earlier. And I think you'd agree with me on that. But it gets my stamp of approval. And it's getting the Zoner stamp of approval as well, Voldy. It's a stamp of approval from you, I assume, right?
Oh, most definitely. I love to see the fact of, you just don't know. You don't know until it happens. And I definitely like to see, of course, Kate Scott does work with the Pac-12 network. She does some work for them as well. She's done some play-by-play for some games there, even a couple football games in the past. But love to see the fact, of course, getting some of these well-known Olympians that you see every couple of years, unfortunately, the fact that, once every 4 years you see their exploits on the ice, but you'd like to see them more involved, and this is one way of doing it. And of course, they do have a professional league that doesn't quite get as much respect as it should, but love to see the fact that they get their chance as well to even show off their broadcasting skills.
Yeah, I mean, Like, I haven't seen one absurd unless they're just trying to get us going. But, luckily we don't have to worry about that because, it's getting stamp of approvals everywhere. Tyler says, I always skip Doris Burke's parts in 2K, though. Well, I think that's just kind of an added thing where it's like you've seen it so many. If you play 2K a lot, I assume, during the game, you've heard all the stories. They record it and everything. But anyway, I mean, it's stamp of approval everywhere. So
Absolutely.
Next one, Volde.
All right, we got a little bit of off-season news in the National Football League. Of course, one that may kind of jump out a little bit. A deal, 1 year, $6 million. Cornerback Josh Norman heading to the Great White North, that is Buffalo. Josh Norman signing a deal with the Buffalo Bills, who hasn't lived up to expectations since his breakout 2015 season against with the Carolina Panthers. Then he goes to Washington. Flounders, to say the least, just trying to keep his head above water on the Potomac River in D.C. But now he's heading north, maybe try to revitalize his career a little bit and maybe get back to the days of when he was that shutdown corner for Carolina. Absurd to approve the deal for Josh Norman heading north to Buffalo.
Well, I want to go back to our previous absurd or approved because your mom commented.
Oh, goodness.
She said it doesn't matter the gender, but the thing is they better know the game. It is painful for me when she's watching a game that someone doesn't know what they're doing. And, this is a great segue, too, because, Josh Norman going to the Bills, I kind of look at it like this, okay? I was watching, or Kerf Doctor and I were watching the Texans and the Buffalo Bills. And there was a certain broadcaster by the name of Booger McFarland. I'm sure you've heard of him. I mean,
Yep.
he's on the social medias a lot. There's a lot of memes. But, if he were to look at this, he'd be like, now, listen to me, okay? Now, the Buffalo Bills, okay, they got Josh Norman, and they'll have a nice shutdown corner. Now, if he catches the ball, it's an interception, okay? Just remember that. Just letting you know. So, I mean, here's the thing. Josh Norman, I got to say absurd because he has been awful. Absolutely awful for the Washington Redskins. Now, could that turn out to be even better for him if he go into the Bills? Because the Buffalo Bills, yeah, it could. Because Sean McDermott's a good head coach, good defensive coach. He was with Carolina. And, I think the deal is a little much money. But if you got Tre'Davious White on the other side, too. So, I mean, it's not a huge loss, but hey, they get a guy that knows how to play corner. He's a veteran, so we'll see what happens. But I just, it's absurd. It really is absurd. But I got a shout out to my boy Danny Hofel. That's my brother right there. Brother from another mother. We love Rush Hour 3. I'm Chris Tucker. He's Jackie Chan. So that's back in. That's way back in the day. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it was a little absurd because Josh Norman's best days are definitely behind him. What do you think, Voldy?
I kind of see it from the other side here. I think maybe this is the shot in the arm that Josh Norman needs. Go back to a coach that's very familiar with him, with his playing style, and maybe it just took the fact that it just wasn't working in Washington. Of course, everything wasn't working in Washington, especially the fact with Jay Gruden.
Not even for Keenum's keepers.
Not even Keenum's keepers. Yeah. That's how bad the situation was. Not even the leader of the keepers could fix Washington. That's when you know your franchise is in a tailspin right there. But getting back to the fact, I think this is going to be what Josh Norman needs. Is it going to be some growing pains? I think there's going to be a lot of growing pains. But getting back to someone that he's familiar with, it's going to be a very different, division, different conference as well. Different players are going to be going up against. Maybe this is just what Josh Norman needs to at least get back some of that credibility that he had built up over the years. Let's just forget about the times in Washington.
Yeah, I think any free agent that goes to Washington, you got to pray for. I mean, honestly, Albert Hainsworth. Oh. I mean, there's one. well, I don't want to say Keenum because he was in a bad situation from the jump.
Yeah.
He doesn't have, the talent that the Vikings had for 2017.
No.
So, I mean, any free agent going to Washington, yeah, you get your money, but your play goes down. Your team's not very good. I don't know. Maybe the Battlehawks could take him on, Shield. Maybe the Battlehawks.
Absolutely. Just imagine if Case Keenum was in the XFL. That league would be burned to the ground already. That's how good Case Keenum would be in that league.
Run and gun, baby.
Absolutely. It was made for him.
All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, this one's a little bit more informational and just wanted to let everybody know, if you haven't heard the story or not, about why the fact that former WNBA star and, of course, Minnesota Lynx player Maya Moore has been stepping away from the game over the last couple of seasons. She did confirm that she'll be sitting out this season as well. It's been the fact that she has been trying to help out a wrongly convicted felon by the name of Jonathan Irons, who's been in prison for over 20 years. The fact that tried to help his case, wrongly convicted as well. Well, this past Monday, it was overturned, his initial conviction, and Jonathan Irons was released from prison. And Maya Moore's work outside off the basketball court helping him out. Irons was supposed to serve a 50-year sentence that he was handed 1999 for burglary and assault with a weapon in against a suburban St. Louis homeowner. Of course, the man who testified against Irons said that the person who assaulted him in his home, but Irons' lawyers said there was no evidence, but they said that DNA to corroborate against their client, and unfortunately at the time was not with him. But this past Monday, his conviction was overturned and was released. So just not really absurd or approved, just more informational, just the fact that, nowadays a lot of these professional athletes, in the NBA, the NFL, doing more than just stepping out on the field and playing, trying to do something not only for the good of the community, but also for humanity as well.
Oh, 100%. Stamp of approval from me. Stamp of approval from you.
Yes,
Stamp
sir.
of approval for all the zoners. I mean, Maya Moore, is a gem. Absolute gem. I mean, she phenomenal on the basketball court, but, off the court, she's doing things that is unbelievable. I mean, she's getting guys out of prison, and, there's so much going on with her. I mean, she's not playing this year again, and I can respect that. There's not many players that do that, and, she's definitely a godsend, and she's been working and she's been killing it. Absolutely. She's a 4-time WNBA champion. Absolutely. And then added on, she's getting people out of prison. So stamp of approval all around. So, Voldy, our next one, this one's very interesting. I'm really the zoners got to hear this one. Okay?
Absolutely.
Why don't you rattle this one off?
Well, for those who follow the NFL and quite possibly know a little pro wrestling at the same time, you may be seeing a very familiar face stepping into the squared circle very, very soon. It was reported that former New England Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski is very close to finalizing a deal with the WWE. Now Gronkowski is no stranger to the WWE over the last couple of years. He has done some work with them before, including a little in-ring action back in 2017 at WrestleMania 33, where he helped his buddy, that being Mojo Rawley, win the Andre the Giant Battle Royale to win. And he's also, done a little side work over the last couple of years as well, getting involved, ringside and everything of that sort. Of course, Gronkowski enjoying retirement from the NFL. Very, very close, he said, but he wouldn't be a full-time wrestler. Maybe just 1 or 2 matches here and there down the next few years as well. Absurd approved. Gronk stepping in the ring, quite possibly throwing around with some other big boys.
Well, here's the thing. There's some people that are saying absurd. The zoners think it's absurd.
Absurd.
It's got my stamp of approval. Come on. Gronk in the WWE? Let's go. I'm glad he's not full-time, though, because that is a very, very tumultuous schedule. You are on the road like 363 days. I mean, you only get a couple days or off and stuff like that. There's live events, everything like that. But it's got my stamp of approval because it's Gronk, man. You know, I think Gronk would be really good. And, you know, he's lost some weight, I think, a little bit after his retirement. But I think, you know, he'll bulk up a little bit. I think he'd be in great shape. The thing I worry about is maybe the injuries. He's had a lot of concussions. He's had a lot of, knee problems. I mean, his arm, I mean, you know, everything. I mean, Gronk's been beat up in the NFL. But, I mean, it's going to be good. If he's on a part-time basis, if he's going to do like a Brock Lesnar type of thing, who's technically really part-time. But even we love Brock Lesnar, you know, Minnesota, you know, of course. But, I think that's what it's going to probably have to be for Gronk. But I think Gronk, could he be a WWE champion or a Universal champion or something like that? What's Gronk's finisher going to be? Is it going to be like something called the Spike or something like that? I don't know. I think the Zoners got to chime in on this. Maybe we'll do a poll or something. What would Gronk's finisher be? Because that's the thing, or signature, or, you know, there's different ways to put it. But, you know, I don't know. It's got my stamp of approval, Voldy. What do you think?
It's definitely got my stamp of approval. I mean, Gronk was made for the WWE.
Oh, yeah.
He's loud. He's precocious. He draws attention no matter where he is. I mean, it's fantastic to see that there's the possibility of it happening. Is it going to be along the same lines of, you know, of course, like Brock Lesnar and, you know, things of that sort? I don't think so. It'll probably be like one of those Tyson Fury type situations where he's on for a few weeks and then he just completely disappears, falls off the map. Then like a couple years later, he'll show up again for a few more weeks. It's going to be one of those situations. Of course, they're going to do everything that they can to make sure that nobody gets injured, especially, you know, with the likes of Gronkowski. Of course, they really took care of Tyson Fury leading up to that rematch he had against Deontay Wilder. It's got my stamp of approval. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be insane just how ridiculous it's going to be, but it's going to be awesome to say the least.
Well, I'll definitely be tuning in because I think Gronk would be great on the mic too. I think he'd make some pretty good promos and he'd say some things that are interesting and whatnot. But Gronk's got it all. I mean, how can you not love Gronk? I mean, he's just Gronk, you know. But I don't know. I got to know what his finisher is. That's kind of my big thing.
That's the $1 million question right there.
Yeah. I mean, he can't do the people's elbow like The Rock or anything.
No,
like
he can't. No, that's a protected move right there.
Driver, you know, but I'm sure. I don't know if they'll start him off right away, but he's got to get trained though, because that's that's
for sure
the key in WWE. If you're gonna work for Vince, you got to be ready to go. So, but anyway, Voldy, you picked out some real nice gems this week. But
absolutely,
we are not done because it's time for the Shield's favorite segment.
Oh yeah.
Shield Shoutouts.
All right, Voldy, before you start, okay, we've got a very, very special Shield shoutout, I believe, right?
That we do. And before we get going with that, guys, I'm going to pull here a bit of an audible here right now. We're going to have ourselves a first time here. We're going to have ourselves a special guest come on and join us.
I do a drum roll, but I'd break this table. Hey!
There she is. Yes. Our creative consultant, Mrs. Sarah Ann Toosvold, joining us here in the Woods and Shore Studios.
Here we are.
Yes.
Oh,
and so we want to show Sarah what we got here, our creative consultant. Very happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday indeed. 26 years young.
Yes.
She is turning today. A very special Shield shout out to my lovely wife.
Thanks.
Celebrating her birthday today and probably embarrassed as all heck right now.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. It's okay. It's okay though. She's had a great day and I'm sure that, once we go get dinner here in a little while, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Because we're hungry. So.
I got well, it's funny. Me and Matt got a pizza we're picking up after this, actually.
Well, there's that.
So we're all on the same boat here with that, too. But you guys got a DQ cake. Casey's.
Ooh, there you go.
DQ cake.
There you go.
I think that's what you're doing, right? DQ cake?
Oh, yes, we got the Dairy Queen cake. Yeah, it's in the freezer.
Yeah.
Right.
Excellent. Good.
Yeah, we
good.
got that ready to go.
Oh, man. This is going to be great. I can't wait. But happy birthday, Sarah, our creative consultant who has come up with great ideas, and the founder of Tater Tot Hot Take, by the way.
There you go.
So we gotta throw shout outs there. It's only Facebook Live, so you don't have to worry about, all the people that are tuning in. They're just people. They're the zoners.
Exactly.
Don't worry about that. So very happy birthday to Sarah Vole. So we're very happy with that Shield shout out. So yes, absolutely.
Well,
happy birthday.
Yes. All right, perfect. I guess we can move on a little bit here with Shield shout-outs here. Next one, we got a special one that actually we're going to do a triple Shield shout-out here tonight. I think we're throwing out all sorts of firsts here tonight. First Shield shout-out in a 3-part segment. If you haven't seen tonight, special jersey tonight from the Granite City Lumberjacks down in St. Cloud. These jerseys were actually modeled after Mighty Ducks 2, when of course the Ducks were, part of Team USA back in the day there for that movie, and that was one of the main reasons why Granite City Lumberjacks, each year they do a special charity game for the United Heroes League. It's a fundraiser and a foundation that does donate money and gear and time for children of military families to keep kids active in sports while parents are serving in the military overseas and what have you. With the jerseys alone and a combination of other things, they had some special raffles and giveaways. They raised nearly $20,000 just in one weekend on 2 nights as well. Last 2 home games of the year, they celebrate United Heroes League and also have United Heroes League night. Nearly $20,000 raised as well. And my own brother, believe it or not, DJ Vole, a longtime fan of the zone, designed these year's jerseys. This was his idea, and luckily enough, I was able to walk away with one. Only cost me $175, but all going towards a great cause. And even tonight as well, I got to pull up the picture here on my phone because our family group chat is going off like crazy. He's at work right now, and he's got the Sports Zone, MinneZona Sports Live, pulled up at the Hockey Zone in St. Cloud. So a double Shield shout out for Mr. DJ Vold.
Maybe even like triple.
Yeah, that's the triple Shield shout out right there to DJ Vold, the Granite City Lumberjacks, and of course all the great folks that bought jerseys. They donated money to the United Heroes League and the Granite City Lumberjacks as well for putting on a first class event each and every year.
Oh, love it. I love it.
It's fantastic. Well, we got another Shield shout out. This one's going towards someone from my hometown, in former Byron Bear and basketball player Ioka Lee. Now, last year was a tough year for Ioka. She ended up tearing her ACL last year. She was a freshman at Kansas State University for the basketball team last year. Now going to her redshirt freshman year, she has rewritten the record book at K-State. She was named Big 12 Women's Basketball Freshman Player of the Year. Redshirt freshman year. Let's run down some of these gaudy numbers. 12-time Freshman of the Week in the Big 12. First freshman in school history to average a double-double in an entire season. 15 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, finished with a school record 19 double-doubles this year. It also added Big 12 all-freshman team and all Big 12 first team this year for the K-State Wildcats.
6-7 things.
Those are some unbelievable numbers. Former Byron Bear Ioka Lee getting a Shield shout-out this week for the K-State Wildcats.
Oh, you got to love it. The Voldy, I'm looking at these stats. Former Byron Bear. Hey, got to rep Byron.
Absolutely.
You got to rep Byron. So I believe you have one more, Voldy, and this one is quite interesting. So I'll let you explain it, then I will chime in on this one.
Well, absolutely. We got to throw out the fact that former Mizzou Tiger and former NFL star Jeremy Maclin, the Mac Attack, was seen this past Saturday delivering the game ball at the XFL St. Louis Battlehawks game. And also, you see him recently retired. Knee injury started to mount up for the Mac Attack, but he's living life and he is enjoying it to the best. And, it didn't look too bad out on the sidelines there of the XFL and the Battle Hawks. He's got a few former college teammates that are on the Battle Hawks nowadays, and very interesting to see. And also this past season in the high school ranks, he served as an assistant coach at his alma mater at Kirkwood High School. But a special shout out to the Mac Attack, Jeremy Macklin.
Battle Hawks. Let's do it. Come on, man. I mean, you got a lot of weapons. You lost last week. You got to add another with J-Mac. Let's do this. Come on. Yeah, and then we got a comment from your brother, too. I just want to make sure we get that. Whole lot of zone, baby. Hey.
Yes, sir.
DJ Vold, I mean, he's like one of top 5 fans, I'd probably say, for zone.
Absolutely.
Maybe even 1. I don't know. We might have to do a blow on that. I don't know. Maybe if Bufflin comes to the Wild, that's his favorite hockey player, right? So, but yeah, no, the Mac Attack Battle Hawks, man, let's go. So that's the reason why I wore this today, because the XFL has been pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie, Voldy. I mean, it's actually doing quite well. And even though the Battle Hawks lost last week, there's still a whole lot of season left. So if I could convince you to come over to the Battle Hawks, jump on the bandwagon with me, that'd be great. But you have your team that I don't know who is your team, by the way.
The more I think about it and the more I look into it, I may have to go with the Battle Hawks.
Battle Hawks!
It's close proximity. You've got former Viking quarterback Taylor Heineke as the backup. They keep throwing up these gaudy numbers. They've got some studs on their team. Jordan Tamu's not too bad himself under center.
Christian Michael, former Seahawk.
I might have to hitch my wagon to the Battle Hawks.
Yeah, Christian Michael as well. Matt Jones, another NFL name as well. So, and then maybe the Mac Attack.
Who knows?
Mean, you're gonna have to, Jimbo. now your dad's gonna do. I don't know. We might have a family feud here. Jimbo thinks that he should be a top fan. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be definitely interesting. So we might have to have this, go on. We might have to have votes or something for top zone. But we love all our zoners. That's the thing.
Absolutely.
We love all our zoners. So anyway, Voldy, so great to be back with you again. Well, I'm glad we have a full crew. And this was great. I mean, when we come back and do this show, we just have a great time. And the Kerf Doctor, at the switcher here, just doing a fantastic job as well. And, filling in, helping out for us. So, you get claps. You definitely get claps.
Thanks, guys.
For that, just absolute great job. And make sure, zoners, okay, that you chime in on all our topics. So we had a lot of interaction tonight. It was fantastic. And, again, happy birthday to Sarah Vold as well, our creative consultant. She does a phenomenal job. She was the epitome of Tater Tot Hot. She came up with the idea, the name.
She did.
That's why we have Tater Tot Hot Take every week, every stinking week. So anyway, moving on here, zoners, thanks for tuning in. We hope you tune in next time. But just remember, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.